What's up, guys? We got UFC Vegas 105, Emmett versus Murphy, full card picks and betting breakdown. And I'm excited for this week's card. There are a lot of good matchups and a lot of matchups, but I do want to note I will be live for the main event starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure you guys tune into the Fight Companion. But let's go ahead and get into the video with the first bout of the night being Loma Lookboonmee versus Istela Nunes. And the pick for me is going to be Loma Lookboonmee. She's coming off of that decision win over Bruna Brazil, and then the submission win over Elise Reed before that, and then the decision win over Denise Gomez before that. And yes, she has the loss to Lupita Godinez, but we just saw Lupita Godinez last week absolutely work Julia Palastri. So I feel like that's not even a bad loss on the side of Loma Lookboonmee. She's a very talented fighter with a very Muay Thai-esque fight style and stellar striking abilities. Not to mention she has quick hands, crafty combinations, and she has snappy high and low kicks. I like the side of Loma Lookboonmee in terms of striking. Even grappling. She's a very well-rounded fighter. She has very good grappling abilities. She has strong takedowns. She has very good takedown defense. She also has quick transitions, tricky submissions. I like Loma Lookboonmee wherever this fight goes. She has very, very good striking and very good grappling abilities. Not to mention the pace and pressure she puts on her opponent is really what's going to give her the upper hand here against Istela Nunes. Nunes is a very mediocre fighter in the sense that she lasts one round, but after that one round, her cardio is depleted, her pace and pressure is depleted. She just looks completely slow and sluggish and just like a completely different fighter after the first round. That is why I'm favoring the side of Loma Lookboonmee. Not to mention Istela Nunes has never won in the UFC. She's 0-4, lost to Dudakova where she got injured, had the dislocated elbow. And then you have the loss to Yargi, which she did tag her in the first round, dropping her. That is why I said she's a very one-round type of fighter, because she's very good in the first round. She tagged and dropped Yargi, but ended up getting pummeled and technical knocked out shortly after. And then you have the loss to Sam Hughes, which is a journeywoman. And then you have the loss to Ariane Carnelosi, who Loma was supposed to face, and I feel like was a way better competition than Nunes, but they ended up canceling. She ended up getting injured, and now Nunes steps in, and I feel like this is even better situation for Loma Lookboonmee, where I feel like she's going to be able to pick apart, and be the more technical fighter and get the better of a Istela Nunes via decision. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight. With Istela Nunes sitting at a plus 525, Loma Lookboonmee sitting at a negative 725. I like Loma. Like I said, I think she's going to be the quicker, more explosive fighter. Not to mention I feel like she's going to be able to time some timely takedowns and find success over a Istela Nunes. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 525, over 2.5 sitting at a negative 280, under 1.5 sitting at a plus 340, under 2.5 sitting at a plus 220. I like the overs, and I think it's going to be Loma Lookboonmee being the more technical striker and getting the better of a Istela Nunes. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Vanessa Demopoulos versus Talita Alencar. And this is a very 50-50 fight. This is a very close fight to pick, in which I'm going with Vanessa Demopoulos. I'm going with the side of UFC experience. Not to mention, I feel like she's a more well-rounded fighter over a Talita Alencar. Though coming off of that loss, Vanessa Demopoulos did get cheated in that. I mean, Amarin stuck her hands in the gloves, and she ended up getting the armbar due to the fact that Vanessa Demopoulos was more worried about arguing with the ref than worrying about the submission finish. I feel like Vanessa Demopoulos, though having that one moment, does not define her. I mean, she looked phenomenal in her fight against Duco. She looked phenomenal against Kanako Murata. She's a very talented fighter with a very well-roundedness to her fight game. She's very good in terms of striking. She has quick hands. She has crafty combinations. She also mixes it up to the head and to the body very, very well. And she has a very good grappling game. She has strong takedowns. She has quick transitions. She knows how to advance positions. I like Vanessa Demopoulos in this fight. I really feel as though she's going to be able to outdog and outwork a Talita Alencar. Not to mention be at the speed advantage on the feet. So I feel like Vanessa Demopoulos is the pick. Alencar doesn't have much UFC experience. She has 3 fights in the UFC, 2 being up against the same person in Stephanie Luciano, where she lost. Didn't really show much ability to adapt either in this fight. And then you have the win over Reina Amanda, who is honestly very mediocre. Don't let the win fool you. I feel like Reina Amanda is a very mediocre fighter. Alencar is a all-right prospect. Don't get me wrong. She has relatively decent striking, but I feel like she relies more on her grappling abilities and trying to submit her opponent. And I feel like Vanessa Demopoulos has good enough grappling defensively to keep this on the feet and outstrike and outwork a Talita Alencar and get the better of her via decision. And let's go ahead and run it to the odds with Alencar and Demopoulos sitting at a -110 both. This is literally the definition of a coin flip. Alencar and Vanessa Demopoulos sitting at a -110. The odds makers I agree with. I mean, this is literally going to be a tit for tat back and forth war where I just believe Vanessa Demopoulos is going to be able to outdog her and outstrike her and get the better of her over the 3 rounds. Over 1.5 sitting at a -800. Over 2.5 sitting at a -425. Under 1.5 sitting at a +475. Under 2.5 sitting at a +325. I like the overs. Like I said, I like Vanessa Demopoulos to win via decision over a Talita Alencar in a very close tit for tat war. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card, in which is a great matchup, to be completely honest. Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcão. And the pick for me is going to be Pedro Falcão. I feel like he's going to be able to get the better of a Victor Henry. And it's not just because of age. I feel like Pedro Falcão is being slept on. Yes, he has the loss to Victor Hugo, but that was literally 4 days notice, if I'm not mistaken, or 6 days notice, a week's notice max. And I feel like he put on a impressive performance. He had some key moments. He had some nice takedowns, some nice striking moments as well. And I feel like here Pedro could get the better of Victor Henry. I really do. Striking wise, he has quick hands. He has clean combinations. He has clean counter striking abilities. He also mixes it up to the head, to the body, and to the calves of his opponents really, really well. Not to mention his bread and butter is the grappling game, and I feel like he can out-grapple a Victor Henry and time some timely takedowns and garner some control time. I really do. I feel like Pedro Falcão has the better grappling, is going to have the grappling advantage. Striking-wise, I feel like he can stand on the feet with Victor Henry and fare just as well as Victor Henry on the feet. Maybe even better, being the quicker striker. As long as he doesn't get overzealous and start headhunting like he does at times, I feel like Pedro Falcão can get the better of Victor Henry. I really do. He has the one loss to Victor Hugo in his debut where, again, like I said, short notice. I feel like that has a huge play into things, and he still had moments in that fight. Now he steps in against Victor Henry, who has been looking a little bit slower and sluggish, though still looking good, especially at 37 years old, damn near 38. He is still a highly skilled fighter with very good striking and grappling abilities. And I really feel like Pedro Falcão can just outwork him. I feel like he could put on a pace and pressure that Victor Henry is going to start fading, start dwindling as the rounds go on. You're going to see Pedro land some key takedowns, garner some control time, and could possibly even land a submission. He has the quicker transitions and the trickier submissions. I gotta favor the side of Pedro Falcão. Victor Henry literally just got submitted by Charles Jourdain, and I feel like Pedro Falcão has better submission game than Charles Jourdain in terms of jiu-jitsu. So I feel like Pedro is definitely live for submission, but I'm going to say decision. I feel like it's going to be a very tough back and forth battle between Pedro and Victor, where Pedro is able to land some key strikes on the feet, but really the key is going to be his timely takedowns, taking down Victor Henry, garnering that control time, and getting the better of him on the feet and in the grappling department. So give me Pedro Falcão over Victor Henry. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight, with Victor Henry sitting at a negative 207, and Pedro Falcão sitting at a plus 177. Honestly, I kind of agree with the odds because I feel like Victor Henry, though being 38, I mean, he's a very talented fighter with very good striking and very good grappling. I just feel like Pedro Falcão is being slept on. He has very good striking. He has just as good of grappling, even better grappling, to be completely honest. And I feel like he's going to show it here. So leave it at plus 177. I love the dog money in Pedro Falcão. I think he can outwork, outstrike, and outdog a Victor Henry and could possibly even land a later submission over Victor Henry, who's getting tired and drained as the rounds go on. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 260, under 2.5 sitting at a plus 200. I would stick away from the rounds. Like I said, I feel like Pedro Falcão is live for a decision, but also live for that submission finish over a Victor Henry. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card. And Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frunza. And I feel like this fight is like another fight that we had before in Sam Patterson and Danny Barlow. I feel like Rhys McKee has the ability to beat Daniel Frunza. Frunza does not move his head off the center line. He lacks that head movement. He is always overzealous in the sense of going for those headshots and leaves himself open to those counter strikes. And I feel like Rhys McKee is a very talented striker, and he's very skilled in the sense that he has phenomenal counter striking abilities. He has that long, stiff jab that he uses to maintain distance. He also is very good at mixing it up to the head and to the body of his opponents. And he has snappy high and low kicks. I like Rhys McKee's striking abilities. He has phenomenal striking abilities. Not to mention he has good inside boxing. So I gotta favor the side of Rhys McKee in terms of striking. Yes, he has gotten beat twice in Chidi Nzechukwu and Ange Lusso, but those are both two talented fighters and two very skilled fighters. And I feel like they're way more skilled than Daniel Frunza. Frunza is talented, don't get me wrong, but he got dropped by Vadim Kutsi. Let's not forget that. And it was by straight shots down the middle. And I feel like Rhys McKee has good straight shots down the middle. He has a nice knee up the middle. He has nice front kicks up the middle. I feel like Rhys McKee could definitely tag a Daniel Frunza. I really do. Rhys McKee has only lost to some very good competition. Like, if you look at who he's lost to, Nzechukwu just destroyed Zaleski. Ange Lusa is a very, very good striker and grappler. Then you have the Alex Morano, which you could take that with a grain of salt. Alex Morano back in 2020 was actually a dog and a savage. And then you have the loss to Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, he's losing against some dogs. And he's only gotten knocked out by Khamzat Chimaev and Tim Barnett. I mean, I really feel like his striking is really good. Not to mention, as you see here, he has 2 subs in the first round, 1 in the third. He has a very good grappling game as well. He's very well-rounded. I like Rhys McKee. I think he could beat Daniel Frunza. Frunza, like I said, has a little bit of problems in the sense that he lacks the head movement, doesn't move his head off the center line. Though having stellar striking abilities and having that knockout power, having those quick hands, and being able to outstrike his opponents, I feel like he's not going to be able to do so here against Rhys McKee. Rhys McKee also has a reach advantage, a 5-inch reach advantage, a 1-inch height advantage, and I feel like he's going to be able to use that to the best of his ability. I really do. Frunza is going to be trying to enter and exit the pocket, but I feel like Rhys McKee is going to be able to tag him as he tries to enter the pocket, and you're going to see some frustration from the side of Daniel Frunza because he's not able to enter the pocket and really tag up his opponent like he's normally used to. And I feel like Rhys McKee is going to be able to find him as he gets overzealous because of the frustration, and he's going to knock him out. Give me Rhys McKee via knockout. I think he has the ability to knock out Frunza because of the fact that Frunza sometimes gets a little bit frustrated, overzealous, and tries to headhunt. And you could see a Rhys McKee start outstriking, outworking, and finding that counter-striking moments. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight with Rhys McKee sitting at a plus 138. Daniel Frunza sitting at a negative 158. I like Rhys McKee. I really do. I think he's going to have the striking advantage. I really do. I think he's going to be quicker. I think he's going to be more explosive. I think that Daniel Frunza is going to get a little bit irritated at the fact that Rhys McKee is going to be the better striker and going to be able to sit on the outside and kind of stick and poke. And you're going to see Daniel Frunza kind of make these overzealous moves and leave himself open to counter strikes. And I feel like the counter striking of Rhys McKee is going to find and clip a Daniel Frunza. Sitting at a plus 138 for Rhys McKee. Daniel Frunza sitting at a negative 158. I like Rhys McKee. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 190. Over 2.5 sitting at a plus 115. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 145. And under 2.5 sitting at a negative 145. I like the under 2.5. I think that this is going to end early. I think somebody's going to get knocked out. And I think it's going to be Daniel Frunza when he gets overzealous and starts headhunting. And you're going to see Rhys McKee land some nice counter strikes and put him clean out. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Dione Barbosa versus Diana Belbiţă. And in this fight, I mean, there's only one way to go. I'm going with Dione Barbosa. She's coming off of the loss against Miranda Maverick, but she had moments in that fight and looked good in moments in that fight. And Miranda Maverick is a very tough, gritty opponent with a very high skill in terms of striking and grappling. And Diana Barbosa showed some key moments in that fight and had some nice takedowns and some nice moments on the feet. And before that, she has the win over Ernesto Carasite, who's a very tough striker. And then you have the win over Rain Guerrero in her debut in Contender Series where she got the submission armbar. I feel like Barbosa is a very well-rounded fighter. She has very good striking abilities. She's very mobile and very good with her lateral movement. Not to mention her hands fly. They're quick. They're speedy. She's very good at entering and exiting the pocket on her opponents. And she has very good grappling abilities as well. That's why I like the side of Diane Barbosa. I feel like she's very well-rounded. She's had success in the UFC. She's been up against some very good competition and showed out against some very good competition. And I feel like she's getting a gift, to be completely honest. I mean, Miranda Maverick to Diane Belbiţă is a huge step down in competition. And I feel like Diane Barbosa is going to be able to completely handle a Diana Belbiţă. And Belbiţă hasn't even done much in the octagon, to be completely honest. As you guys could see, she got submitted by Molly McCann. Molly McCann is, yes, she's a decent fighter, but in terms of grappling, she lacks completely in the grappling department. So it says a lot to get submitted by Molly McCann. Diane Belbiţă has one of the worst grappling abilities. Not to mention her loss to Caroline Kalowitz. I can't even say it. I'm not even going to try. And then she has the win over Marie Oliveira. I mean, Diane Belbiţă is somebody who doesn't fight often, hasn't fought in a year and a month, is not really taking the fight game that seriously, has holes in her game in the sense that she has a suspect grappling game. In terms of her striking, she's very stiff, very chaotic, and very wild. I gotta side with the side of Barbosa. I feel like there's too many red flags on the side of Belbiţă, and the fact that her striking isn't the best. She has a suspect grappling game. She isn't taking the fight game serious because she's opening up a gym as well. So I feel like there's just too many red flags on the side of Diana Belbiţă, and I feel like Diane Barbosa having that fight as of recently and showing some key moments in that fight, I feel like this being a step down in competition is going to show, and Diana Barbosa is going to show up and show out and absolutely showcase against a Diana Belbiţă who is just not taking the fight game seriously and has other priorities to deal with. So give me Barbosa to beat Diana Belbiţă. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight. With Barbosa sitting at a negative 1,000, Belbiţă sitting at a plus 675. Holy shit! These odds are wide. I mean, Barbosa should 100% definitely win. I mean, Belbiţă is awful. Like I said, she has suspect striking or suspect grappling. Her striking is very stiff and very awkward and clunky. That's why I got to side with the side of Barbosa. I really feel like she can handle business and absolutely destroy a Belbiţă. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 185. Over 2.5 sitting at a plus 110. And under 1.5 sitting at a plus 140. Under 2.5 sitting at a negative 140. I like the side of under 2.5. I think that Barbosa is going to absolutely destroy a Belbiţă. on the feet, in the grappling department. Every aspect of the fight game is going to side with the side of Barbosa, and I feel like she's going to absolutely dominate and end it early against a Belbiţă. Give me under 2.5 in the Barbosa versus Belbiţă fight, and I think that Barbosa can end it via submission, to be completely honest. I really do. I really feel like Belbiţă has some of the worst grappling. Like I said, she got submitted by Molly McCann, who doesn't even have good grappling at all. Give me Barbosa via submission. I think she ends it early, and I think that it's going to be via submission. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in Davey Grant versus Daniel Santos. And in this one, this is a very interesting one. This is a super interesting one where I gotta side with the side of Willie Cat. I really feel like though Davey Grant is tough, he's gritty, he likes to pressure you, be in your face 24/7, I feel like Daniel Santos will be able to get the better of him. Especially in the striking department, I feel like he's quicker, he's more accurate, he's got the power, he's got the pop. I feel like Santos could definitely tag him on the inside, on the outside, and really get the better of him in the striking department. Not to mention his grappling isn't bad either. He's a very well-rounded fighter. Both of them are very well-rounded fighters, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Santos is going to be the quicker, more explosive fighter. Yes, Davey Grant is going to be in his face and could take some big shots, but I feel like Daniel Santos will not let him put that pace and that pressure on him, and he'll sit there, be more tactical, be a little bit more calm, cool, calculated, and really pick and choose his shots and find the shots on Davey Grant and really pick and piece them apart. I really feel like Daniel Santos is going to be super calm and calculated here. He's going to be super picky. He's going to choose his shots wisely, and he's going to pick apart a Davey Grant and find some key timely takedowns as well. I really do feel like Daniel Santos is going to be the better fighter. Coming off of that win over Munoz, yes, Munoz isn't the best, and this is a year and 9 months ago, but I feel like Santos is consistently working. He's consistently getting better. We saw it on his Instagram. He's looking phenomenal. I feel like his striking is looking sharp. He's looking clean on the feet, and we know his grappling is good as well. He has a good jiu-jitsu game, so I feel like Daniel Santos is going to be good anywhere this fight goes. Striking-wise, he's quick, he's explosive, he's strong. Grappling-wise, again, strong. His ability to take his opponents down is very, very good. Give me Daniel Santos to beat Davey Grant. Davey Grant is no bum, no slouch. He's going to be in your face the entire time. But I feel like Daniel Santos picking and choosing his shots and being calm and calculated could get the better of him. Davey Grant coming off of that win against Ramon Tavares 3 months ago looks phenomenal. Especially seeing as he's almost damn near 40 years old, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, it was a phenomenal performance. Then you have the loss to Daniel Marcos savage. Then you have the win over Rafael, the win over Luis Smolka, where he got 2 finishes. And then you have the loss to Adrian Yanez. I don't know. I feel like Daniel Santos can be very calm, cool, collected, similar to Yanez and Marcos. Really pick and choose his shots and really get the better of a Davey Grant on the feet and in the grappling department. Not to mention, I get that Grant has the 2-inch reach advantage, but I feel like Daniel Santos will be able to land some key timely takedowns, be able to get the better of Davey Grant on the inside, land some big overhands, and really just pick and piece him apart and find the win. Give me Daniel Santos, Willie Cat to beat Davey Grant. And let's go ahead and look at the odds right here with Daniel Santos sitting at a -155, Davey Grant sitting at a +135. Listen, I understand the side of Davey Grant because he's so tough, he's so gritty. You guys all want to choose him. But I feel like Daniel Santos being younger, being quicker, being more explosive, I feel like he's going to have a lot of success on the feet, outstriking, outworking, and finding some key timely takedowns on Davey Grant. Over 1.5 sitting at a -360, under 1.5 sitting at a +255, over 2.5 sitting at a -180, under 2.5 sitting at a +150. I like the, honestly, I'd stick away from the rounds. Stick away from the rounds. I like Daniel Santos straight down the middle money line. You're getting a lot of value out of that, and I feel like he's going to be the quicker, more explosive fighter and get the better of a Davey Grant via decision. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card in the the featured prelim of the night, in Louis Gurule versus Buday Osborne. This is a banger fight right here, in which I am picking Louis Gurule to beat Buday Osborne, but I'm a little bit sketch. Louis Gurule is a very talented fighter with very good striking and very good grappling abilities. He showed that in his win against Nick Piccinini, where he did take on short notice and ended up beating a very talented fighter that many thought was going to beat him, and showed up and showed out. But I feel like Louis Gurule, yes, I'm picking him. He does have a little bit of flaw in the sense that his straight shots down the middle are a huge factor for him. He does not move his head off the center line too much, and that is kind of a red flag. But other than that, he is a very talented fighter with very stellar striking abilities. He has quick hands. He's very good on that inside boxing range. He has quick, snappy high and low kicks, and he's got a very good grappling skill set. He's got strong takedowns. He's very good at advancing positions. He has those quick transitions and tricky submissions. I like Louis Gurule. My only bad side of things is the fact that sometimes he doesn't move his head off the center line. That's the only bad side of things for Louis Gurule. Other than that, he has great cardio. He's very good with his striking. He's very good with his grappling. I feel like he can get the better of a Buday Osborne. I really do. Buday is going to be looking for that straight shot down the middle that he used against a Ronaldo Rodriguez and sat him down, but ultimately ended up getting grapple fucked the rest of the fight, in which Louis Gurule can do something similar. Louis Gurule is about the same height, has just about the same skill set in terms of grappling. I feel like Louis Gurule has a clear-cut grappling advantage. In terms of striking, I want to say Buday Osborne is going to be the better striker and going to be a little bit better at getting to the target, but I feel like Louis Gurule, with his striking and his grappling, mixing them in together is really what's going to give him the upper hand and really going to help him to wear and tear on a Buday or Osborne, really breaking him down and getting the better of him. Give me Louis Gurule to outstrike and out-grapple Buday Osborne. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight. With Louis Gurule sitting at a negative 260, Buday Osborne sitting at a plus 220. I like Gurule, even though he is relatively unproven and coming off of that win over Nick Piccinini. I still think he can get it done. I really do. I think he can get it done against Buday Osborne. Osborne really hasn't showed much win ability in terms of the UFC, and really just lacks and has a lot of holes in his game. And I feel like somebody like Louis Gurule can completely exploit that hole, which is the grappling side of things. So give me Louis Gurule to beat Buday Osborne, sitting at a negative 260. Great odds. Buday Osborne sitting at a plus 220. I think that the odds are right, to be completely honest. I like Louis Gurule. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 230. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 120. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 175. Under 2.5 sitting at a negative 110. I like the overs, and I think it's going to be Louis Gurule winning via decision. I think Osborne could win via knockout, but I think it's going to be the more likely outcome is going to be Louis Gurule via decision with his grappling advantage. And let's go ahead and run it to the main card opener in Robert Valentin versus Torres Finney. And I love this matchup. I mean, this is a great matchup in which I am picking Torres Finney to beat Robert Valentine. Valentine is no bum, no slouch. He is a very skilled fighter, but I feel like Torres Finney is more skilled. He has a very good grappling skill set, a very good striking skill set. He's a very heavy pressure fighter that likes to be in your face, that really likes to walk you down, really put pace and put cardio on you, and really just wear on you. And I feel like here he can do that against Valentine. He can land some nice inside boxing against Valentine, land some key takedowns in some key situations, and get the better of a Valentine. I feel like his striking is being a little bit overlooked in the sense that, yes, Valentine has the reach advantage with 1.5 inch reach, but I feel like Torres Finney is very good at entering and exiting the pocket. He's very good at using those combinations to set up his takedowns and use it to the best of his ability. So I feel like he's going to be able to land the key takedowns in the mix of his striking and get the better of a Robert Valentine. Valentine has good striking, don't get me wrong. He's very good in terms of maintaining that distance and tagging his opponents. But I feel like Torres Finney is very good at closing that distance and very good at mixing in his striking with his grappling, that he's going to be able to land those key takedowns. He's going to find success in those overhands as he's faking those takedowns. So give me Torres Finney over Robert Valentine. Valentine is going to look to try and maintain that distance and look to strike and not really use much grappling, I feel like. But I feel like with the pressure and pace that Torres Finney is going to set, he's going to find those takedowns. He's going to find the control time, and he's going to find some nice ground and pound and get the better of a Robert Valentine. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight, with Torres Finney sitting at a negative 271, Robert Valentine sitting at a plus 231. I like Finney. I feel like his ability to relentlessly go for the win, no matter if it's striking, no matter if it's grappling, he'll lay on you for 20 minutes. He will do whatever he has to do to win the fight. That is why I feel like that is another reason to pick Torres Finney. He is a dog. He is willing to do anything to win the fight, and I feel like he's going to be able to outstrike, outwork, and out-grapple a Robert Valentine for the decision win. Torres Finney sitting at a negative 271. Robert Valentine sitting at a plus 231. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 150. Over 2.5 sitting at a plus 150. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 115. And under 2.5 sitting at a negative 180. I honestly think that the overs could come to fruition, because I feel like Finney is going to be able to lay on Robert Valentine and kind of garner that control time rather than get the submission, whereas Robert Valentine's going to look for the knockout. I like Finney. I would stick away from the rounds. I think his ability to, like I said, go for the win and be able to lay and pray, as long as he's winning, he will do whatever he has to do. So give me Torres Finney via decision. And let's go ahead and run it to the main, well, not the main card opener, but the next fight on the main card in GM3 versus Brad Tavares. This is an amazing fight right here. I love this matchup, to be completely honest. And the pick for me is going to be Brad Tavares over Gerald Meerschaert. I feel like Gerald Meerschaert, he's going to be looking to take this down to the ground, but striking-wise, he's completely outstruck. Grappling-wise, he has trickier submissions, but they're just as good in the ground game, I feel like. To be completely honest, Brad Tavares is a very well-rounded fighter. He has phenomenal striking. He has clean counter-striking abilities. He has clean combinations up the center. He has quick hands. He mixes up his shots really, really well. Not to mention, he has a good grappling skill set with strong takedowns, phenomenal takedown defense. I like the side of Brad Tavares. Yes, he's coming off of multiple losses. One to Jung Young Park, where he had the split decision loss, where he got kind of out-grappled in the later moments of the fight due to a little bit of fatigue. But I still feel like he's worked on it. I feel like he's gotten better. I feel like he is going to come back a different fighter. And you have the loss to Gregory Rodriguez, where he did get knocked out. But I feel like Brad Tavares can get it done here against GM3. I really do. I feel like striking-wise, he has a clear-cut striking advantage. He's going to be a lot quicker. He's going to be a lot more explosive than GM3. In terms of grappling, I feel like his grappling defensively is good enough to keep this on the feet and snub the takedowns of GM3, getting the better of him in the striking department. So give me Brad Tavares to beat GM3. GM3 is no bum, no slouch. Coming off of that loss to Reiner de Ryder, where he got submitted, he looked good in the striking department, to be completely honest. I just think that Brad Tavares is going to be quicker, more explosive. He's going to be able to enter and exit the pocket. He's going to be able to use that grappling to defensively stay on the feet, and I feel like he's going to piece apart a GM3. I really do. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight, with GM3 sitting at a plus 183, Brad Tavares sitting at a negative 213. I like Brad Tavares. Like I said, he's going to be the quicker, more explosive striker. Not to mention his ability to close the distance is really, really good. And his grappling is very stellar in the sense of defensive grappling. He's going to be able to snub the takedowns of GM3, keep this on the feet, and just absolutely pick and piece him apart. Brad Tavares sitting at a negative 213 is the call. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 385. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 175. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 265. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 145. I think it's going to be over, and I think it's going to be Brad Tavares outstriking and outworking a GM3 due to the fact that he's quicker and more explosive. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this main card in Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Buday. The pick for me is obviously going to be Kennedy Nzechukwu. I mean, I feel like he can absolutely run Martin Buday's pockets. I mean, dude, he is going to be a lot quicker, a lot more explosive. He's going to have a huge striking advantage, especially with the length of Kennedy. I mean, I really feel like it's going to be a clear obliteration of Martin Buday. I'm going to be completely honest. Kennedy is so slick and so technical with his striking, and he has phenomenal counter striking abilities. He has those nasty hooks on the inside. I just don't see a world where Martin is able to strike with Kennedy. Not to mention Kennedy has good grappling defensively, so I feel like defensively he could keep this on the feet. If he wants to, he can some timely takedowns, but mainly he's going to be keeping this on the feet where it's a clear-cut advantage for him. I mean, plain and simple, he has the clear-cut striking advantage, and he's going to be able to piece and pick apart a Martin Buday on the feet. Martin Buday is so slow, so sluggish. Yes, he has knockout power just along with every other heavyweight, but he's not to the target. He's not straight to the target. He's a very looping type of puncher. So I've got to favor the side of Kennedy Nzechukwu to land those straight shots down the middle and piece and pick apart a Martin Buday and land the knockout shot. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight with Kennedy sitting at a negative 350. Martin Buday sitting at a plus 285. I agree with the odds fully. I think that Martin Buday is going to get absolutely slaughtered. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 205. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 115. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 155. And under 2.5 sitting at a negative 155. I like the under 1.5. I think that Kennedy... Honestly, I would go with under 2.5. If you want to get risky, go under 1.5. Though Kennedy sometimes is a little bit slow of a starter, I think that you could see Kennedy easily start picking apart Martin Buday early, finding that range early, and landing the knockout shot early. Give me Kennedy Nzechukwu via knockout. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this main card in Cortavious Romious versus Chang Lee. And the pick for me is going to be Cortavious Romious. Listen, I've said this time and time again. Anybody from the road to UFC, I am going to pick against, in the sense that if they're going up against a contender series, I believe that contender series brings more skillful fighters over road to UFC. I feel like road to UFC kind of lacks in the skill department, and they tend to get fraud checked a lot. In this sense, I think exactly that's going to happen. I think Cortavious Romious is going to absolutely work a Chang Lee, who has been up against some relatively decent competition, but ultimately mediocre. He beat Long Zhao. He beat Zawapspi over in road to UFC. Then you have the road to UFC win over Rana Singh. Then you have the Black Combat win over Chang Shin. But then the loss over in Brave. I mean, if you haven't watched that, he got absolutely outstruck and outworked in that fight against Zhang. He got absolutely outworked. So I get that was 2 years and 10 months ago, but to be completely honest, I just feel like Cortavious Romious is going to be the more skilled fighter, whether it's striking, whether it's grappling. I feel like Cortavious Romious is going to be able to enter and exit the pocket whenever he wants. He's a lot more quicker. He's a lot more explosive. His striking is more accurate. He's a lot better at setting up his shots as well. Not to mention, he's got the cleaner inside boxing and the cleaner counter striking abilities. So I gotta favor the side of Romious in terms of striking. In terms of grappling, he brings a very good, well-roundedness to his game, in the sense that his grappling is good as well. He has those strong takedowns. He has that strong takedown defense. He has those quick transitions. He has those tricky submissions. I like Cortavious Romious not only in the striking aspect of this fight, but in the grappling aspect of this fight. I feel like something that Chang Ho Lee likes to do is rely too much on the grappling side of things. But what if he can't out-grapple Cortavious? Where does that leave him? On the feet, trying to outstrike a Cortavious. And I don't see that happening one bit. I think that Cortavious Romious has good enough grappling in the sense that he's defensively going to keep this on the feet and outstrike a Chang Ho Lee who lacks in the striking department. He's very awkward and clunky in the striking department. He's very chaotic at moments in the striking department. And I feel like Cortavious is a lot more technical and could find these holes and exploit them fully against Chang Ho Lee. So give me Cortavious Romious to beat Chang Ho Lee and fraud check him. And let's go ahead and run it to the odds on this fight with Cortavious Romious sitting at a plus 115, Chang Ho Lee sitting at a negative 135. Like I said, I agree with these odds. I mean, I think Romious should definitely be a favorite, but I like the odds with plus money for the side of Cortavious Romious. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 325. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 180. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 230. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 150. I like the side of Cortavious Romious. I would stick away from the rounds. I think Cortavious is live for a knockout finish or a decision win over a Chang Ho Lee. And let's go ahead and run it to the co-main event of the evening in Joanderson Brito versus Pat Sabatini. And this is another great matchup in which I am going with Joanderson Brito. I mean, I feel like Pat Sabatini is one-dimensional fully. I mean, he relies too much on his grappling. Yes, he has one of the best, if not the best, grapple skills, is what I'm trying to say. But I just can't pick somebody that's so one-dimensional. I gotta side with the side of Brito. I feel like he's a very well-rounded fighter with very stellar striking skills. He's very good at mixing up his combinations. He's very quick with his hands. He's very explosive and speedy in the pocket. Not to mention he has those good high, snappy, low kicks. Snappy high and low kicks is what I meant to say. And he has a very good grappling game. He's not just a striker. No, he's a good grappler as well. He has very good defensive grappling. And I feel like that's going to come in handy here against a Pat Sabatini. I really do. Pat Sabatini, like I said, is one-dimensional. He lacks in the striking department. He doesn't move his chin off the center line. He also is chinny, so I gotta favor the side of Brito. Brito, coming off of the loss to William Gomez, still looked phenomenal. He had moments in that fight. It was a very controversial, close split decision in which he lost. But he did show moments in that. Then you have the win over Jack Shore where he obliterated him. Then the win over Pierce where he submitted him. Then the win over Weston Wilson. Joanderson Brito is a tough, gritty fighter that is going to defensively try and keep this on the feet and absolutely just maul Pat Sabatini because of the fact that he lacks in the striking department and lacks head movement and is very chinny. So give me Joanderson Brito via knockout. I think Pat Sabatini is live for a first round submission if anything, but after that, as the rounds go on, it's going to favor Joanderson Brito, and you're going to see the pace and pressure start to get to Pat Sabatini, and him trying to go for these takedowns relentlessly without having that striking threat is really not going to do him any wonders, and he's going to end up catching a clean shot from Joanderson Brito. So give me Brito via knockout. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this co-main event with Brito sitting at a negative 230, Pat Sabatini sitting at a plus 195. Like I said, I like Joanderson Brito. I really do. I think he can beat Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini is going to be looking to just take this down to the ground. He doesn't have enough of a striking threat to really worry about anything other than the grappling. So I got to favor the side of Joanderson Brito. I really do. I feel like Brito is going to be able to defensively keep this on the feet, use the grappling of his to snub the takedowns of Pat Sabatini, keep it on the feet, outstrike, outwork, outdog a Pat Sabatini, and land the knockout shot. Give me Joanderson Brito to beat Pat Sabatini. Under 2.5 sitting at a negative 165. Under 1.5 sitting at a plus 120. I like the unders in this fight. I think under 1.5 is money, as well as the under 2.5. I think under 2.5 is free. I think under 1.5 is a little bit risky, but I still think Joanderson Brito is going to land the knockout shot early. And let's go ahead and run it to the next fight on this card, which is the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share with a relative, share with a friend, share with your uncle, your aunt, your grandma, share with anybody. And make sure you drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the video, and let's go ahead and run it to the main event of the evening in Josh Emmett versus Loma Murphy, in which I am picking Loma Murphy over Josh Emmett. Listen, Josh Emmett is no bum, no slouch. Yes, he has knockout power. Yes, he's a phenomenal striker. But I feel like Loma Murphy is going to be a little bit more slick. He's going to be a little bit more technical, a little bit more tactical as well. And I feel like he's going to be able to really get the better of Josh Emmett, whether it's striking, whether it's grappling. I feel like Loma Murphy is a very well-rounded individual with so much skill. I mean, his lateral movement is phenomenal. His ability to maneuver on the feet and really just slice and dice, if you will, because he slides and he pokes in a way, in the sense like he'll maneuver, slide, duck, bang, and he'll hit you. I like Loma Murphy. I really feel like his striking ability is none other. He's very slick. He's very technical. He's very accurate, and he has good power as well. Not like knockout power, but he has good sting, good pop. So I gotta favor the side of Loma Murphy. Also, he brings a good grappling game. He has strong takedowns. He knows how to transition really, really quickly. He knows how to maintain control of you. He knows how to land some good ground and pound. I like the side of Loma Murphy. I really feel like he is a talented individual that could be a champion here in the near future. I really do. Especially with the wins over Dan Ige, the win over Edson Barbosa. I mean, he has some really good wins over some really talented prospects. And adding a Josh Emmett would just further the conversation of him being a possible champion in the future. And I feel like he can do so. Emmett coming off of the win a year and 3 months ago over Bryce Mitchell, where he landed a brutal overhand right, absolutely bodying Bryce Mitchell, which everybody is happy now after the fact. But I feel like Josh Emmett really only has a striking, or not a, I was going to say striking advantage. He only has a puncher's chance. I was going to say striker's chance, but he only has a puncher's chance. His best likely shot is that overhand right to knock out Loma Murphy. Other than that, he's going to get outstruck on the feet because of the fact that Loma Murphy is so slick and so technical. And he might even get taken down. Loma Murphy has some good, timely takedowns. And I feel like he's going to land some. So give me Loma Murphy to beat Josh Emmett, not only on the feet, but in the grappling department. I think he's going to be able to get the better of him on both sides of things. And let's go ahead and look at the odds for this fight, with Josh Emmett sitting at a plus 258, Loma Murphy sitting at a negative 308. Like I said, I like Loma Murphy, especially sitting at a negative 308. I think there's a lot of value. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 650. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 350. Over 3.5 sitting at a negative 230. Over 4.5 sitting at a negative 175. I like the side of under 4.5. I think Loma Murphy could find a finish over Josh Emmett. I think as these rounds go on, it's going to favor Loma Murphy. I think his cardio, his pace, and his pressure is going to get the better of Josh Emmett, and he's going to finish him. I really do. I think he's live for a knockout. I think he's live for the submission finish. I think a submission finish is likely. I really do. I think Loma Murphy, as this fight goes on, fourth round, I see fourth round submission for Loma Murphy. I think as the cardio starts to deplete and Josh Emmett starts to tire, he's going to find himself in some tricky situations where he is on his back and possibly get submitted by a Loma Murphy. And let's go ahead and run it to the end of this. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.